All right. Uh, Welcome everyone. Um, this is my unboxing of the iPhone Air. So I waited a couple of days before actually filming this because the phone was launched, I'd say 3 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, and there was a lot of hype around it where people were just going batshit crazy about the new colors, the new design, and yeah, it was a fun event. But this phone is the one that caught my eye the most. Not purely because of its design, but because of what it could mean, plus what it currently represents. So it's the present and the future of the company, which I feel may be going in the right direction after all. I say this because I used to use the iPhone 17, not the 17, sorry. I used to use the iPhone 13 Pro. I used that phone for 2 years. I'm sort of like an experimental person. I wasn't on an Android phone. I tried the iPhone for a couple of years. I said, well, let's see what people go crazy about the iPhone. And I tried it out. It was good. It was okay, but there was a little friction there, like very, very minute things which used to trouble me. But I said, what the hell, let's give it a fair shot. So I did the iPhone 13 Pro for 2 years. It was very bulky, very heavy for my liking, so I moved to the base iPhone 15. I used that for about 8 to 9 months. To be extremely honest with you, having used high refresh rate screens and all that for a long time, iPhone 15 felt sluggish. It did not have the ProMotion display, obviously. It felt sluggish, and even though the color was fun, the entire OS was passable, so to say. Still, it felt like I was lacking something, and so I switched to my main phone right now, which I'm using currently for the last couple of months, which is the S25 Ultra. It's a great phone, don't get me wrong, but as soon as I saw that this phone was going to be launched, I was genuinely surprised and excited by it, and I really wanted to try it out. And we can say that this is the official attempt by Apple to enter into the thin and light phone market, so to say. Not like they were not doing it before, but like I would say re-entry into that market. One can say they did this to rival the Samsung Edge, but maybe, just maybe, there's another plan for them, hopefully next year, where they actually finally, after 7 long years behind Samsung, launch a foldable phone. And honestly, this time they won't have an excuse for it because 7 years is a long time. I mean, at this point in time, the first phone they launch has to be perfect or it just won't cut it. There's been so much development around this foldable technology for so long that there is literally no excuse left. Any which ways, here is the iPhone Air. On paper, this is the worst phone in this year's lineup, obviously. Specifically, the battery is smaller by a few hundred milliamperes in the amp hours than the base 17. There's only one camera, as you can see. The battery is smaller, the camera is smaller. I forget what is the other thing. Oh, the speaker. Instead of stereo speakers that we've been used to for so long, this one just has a mono, which is at the top of the phone. That's going to be an interesting one for most people because I think Apple had really perfected the speaker game in their MacBooks and their phones, and this is going to be sort of like a deal breaker for some of the people. One thing which doesn't really matter in the long run, but it's good to know, one compromise that they've made is the USB-C port. It's apparently 3D printed. It's not USB 3.1 speeds, so for the people who still connect their phones for data transfer, XYZ, for whatever reason, something to keep an eye out. But yeah, those are the four major things that Apple has basically compromised on than the base iPhone 17 for this phone. Still, even though the base iPhone 17, by the way, let me just put it out there, the base iPhone 17 is the best iPhone in the lineup. I would also argue it's the best phone Apple has made in a couple of years. That's just my personal opinion. But compared to that phone, I went and tried the 17 and the Air in person, and I was immediately drawn to the Air. There's something about this phone when you hold it, and it's like, I just can't explain it in words. You have to go and try it out in the store. Funny thing, it reminds me of when my dad bought an iPhone 5s. My aunt basically bought him the phone from the US at that point of time, and it was the first iPhone that I'd ever seen, and it was such a thin phone, metal unibody, black. It had shades of black in the back. It was so cool. Like, this phone reminded me of that. I don't know why, but I just thought I'd put it out there. But I think I wasted enough time. Let's quickly unbox this. It has the Apple basic packaging. So just these two things, two tabs that you pull, and et voila, that's the phone. It's weird that they put this phone this way because, as far as I remember, most phones are with their back facing towards you when they open, but they've chosen to do the screen this time around. So let me try to grab this. Look at that. Let me keep this on the side. Well, if you are really interested to know what's in the phone, what's in the box actually, there's just one USB-C cable and some random documentation. Not that I care about that, but just to let you know, here's the phone. Look at that. Sure, it's a fingerprint magnet, but look at the thinness of the phone. I got the space black color because, well, I don't know, I was just drawn to it. Everyone seems to be raving about the, I don't know what it's called, like the cloud blue or some random blue color, but my S25 Ultra is a very similar color, so I thought might as well just go for the 17, for the air in the space black. Immediately, there's so many fingerprints. Look at this. That's disgusting. But man, is that thin. It's so thin. It feels so good in the hand. Like, I can't explain in words. Here's the screen. That's a nice peel, to be extremely honest with you. The glare seems a little bit different than your regular iPhone, but that's pretty good. I think it's 5.4 or 5.3 millimeters thin. I don't exactly know how thin it is, but feels really good in the hand. And I have some initial thoughts on the phone when I first saw it, but after holding it in the hand, I think I can summarize them in these words precisely. It's sort of like an antithetical phone. Sorry, my pronunciation is a bit messed up, but the word that I want to use is antithetical. Basically, like, it's light in your hand, but it feels extremely sturdy. It's thin, like extremely thin, but once you hold it, you can feel the denseness of the phone. And it's almost like it can disappear in your pocket, in your bag, but it's also pretty evident. I don't know, that sort of does make sense to me, but those are my thoughts on this design, so to say. And wow, I'm just dumbfounded by how thin this phone is. And the titanium rails on the side feel so nice. The fingerprint magnets, obviously, like, my fingers are yucky at the moment, but this feels really nice in the hand. Camera bump, oh my god, don't let me start. Let's apparently call the plateau. I'm used to it. The Pixel phone brought about this design change. I got used to it then. But yeah, looks and feels really great. I'll turn the phone on later and do some setup, but just the point of this video was to open the box and put some thoughts down. And obviously, with this being the worst phone in the lineup on paper, still being $1,000 is sort of laughable. But if you think about it, like many other reviewers must have put it out there, it's either that attempt, like, just throw darts on the wall and see what sticks. They tried with the mini, they tried with the plus phone, and that did not seem to work. They're trying the thin and light, or they're gearing towards the foldable, which does make more sense. But if not, I don't know. And I don't see the purpose of this phone unless Apple thinks that thin and light is the future of this phone, or rather all phones. But one thing that I really wanted to understand, or rather put into words, was the cost compared to what you get from the phone rather. It's $1,000 US, and I guarantee you can find much better phones for $1,000. Forget on paper, like, just in terms of raw performance and everything. Then why would one pick this phone up? Like, a lot of people have pointed out, this is the phone that Steve Jobs would make, and that's sort of saying something for the design. And I tend to agree that it's a great phone in terms of design, purely design. And there are a bunch of trade-offs. Like the battery life, yes, it's smaller than the iPhone 17. Yes, it will run for a little bit lesser time. I don't know how much a little bit is. Obviously, you'll find numbers throughout YouTube where people have done like tests and all. But how much does it really matter? Considering most people own power banks, most people own cars in which you just plug in your phone for Apple CarPlay or something like that, and that charges your phone. For me, that's not a massive deal breaker. Honestly, I would have liked to see the silicon carbide technology in this phone, but I guess most manufacturers, I'd rather say most mainstream manufacturers like Samsung and Apple are not going for it, so that's a bummer. But it would have been nice to see that in this phone. Might have helped in terms of battery life, who knows. The second thing is this single camera. I don't really care for it. I have another phone. For people who want multiple cameras, say for telephoto or something, I absolutely agree. Sort of a miss, but the base 17 has that as well, so that might be a better phone for most people. In terms of speaker, single speaker seems almost regressive in nature, where like most companies did not want to do more stereo speakers at one point in time, but then a lot of them did, and then people seemed to like them. So more and more started to develop good audio profiles, good speakers, and that helped us in general, but seems like a step back. But honestly, I don't use my phone speakers enough. Sure, on call and all, it doesn't really make a difference. Your soundstage will be different, but for music or anything like related to YouTube, but not that big of a deal for me. Maybe for some people. So that's one thing to be wary about. And the last part is the USB port. Honestly, I don't know a lot of people who use the data transfer, but if you do, just something to know that it's not USB 3, it's USB 2 as far as I know, so it'll be slower. I may be mistaken about the USB port, but I definitely know that it's slower. So those are the 4 trade-offs, so to say, that Apple had to make this design. And obviously, it's the first gen. If I was a betting man, I would say future generations, if they choose to continue the phone, that is, by the way, that's a big if, it will get better. They will find space, so to say, inside the phone. It will be engineered to be a little bit better than this year, where they might be able to fit a larger battery, they might be able to increase the speed, they might be able to fit in a second camera. I don't see how, but it's a lot of might be for the next generation. But for the first generation product, this feels really good, and I'm excited to try it out. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.